Hello, I'm Carlos Baca, co-founder of the Matriarch Gathering, and we're here today with Lily and Oliver of the High Path, who will be presenting at this year's Matriarch Gathering. I guess let's start with, can I get some background from you guys?
I've been in Durango for a couple years, and this last year, Oliver and I met in Mexico. Oliver's from South Africa, and in Mexico we got together and began combining the various things that we do: fire walking, yoga, meditation, breathing, and we began putting them together in some really phenomenal retreats in the beautiful mountains of central Mexico.
What is that you will be presenting this year?
So, good morning, Carlos. So we're going to be presenting the firewalk. As Lily was saying, it's something that when we met up, is something that I was doing, and we ended up doing these firewalks, these retreats together. So we've done a few here in Durango, and we're refining the process, ever refining the process, and it's our real privilege and honor to be presenting that at the gathering.
Beautiful, thank you. Could you give me a little bit of the backstory of firewalking as far as the lineage and your teachers?
Sure. So I was very much trained in an organization called Sandor, and Sandor is an Inuit word which refers to there are 7 doors that a shaman must pass through on his way to enlightenment, and the last door is the sun door, and it's the door that the shaman flies through into the eternal light of awakening. This tradition was first brought to the West by a woman called Peggy Dillon, a phenomenal woman. And the practice is very much along the lines of the Native American tradition, where it's to do with internal healing and external motivation. And we very much work along those principles about people who attend the firewalk will experience an internal shift within themselves, and probably in the next couple of weeks thereafter experience an external motivation and creativity that hasn't been there before.
So could you give me a little preface on what it is and what the importance of overcoming fear is for people?
Yeah, certainly. Fear to me is a very misunderstood energy. There's a lot of energy in fear. If you consider the feeling you get when presented with a dangerous situation, like a dangerous snake on a path or a spider, your senses become acutely attuned to this moment now, to this present moment. You sink deeply into the presence where you're no longer concerned about something that will happen in the future or concerned about a problem that happens in the past. You almost have superhuman strength, hearing, sight. What prevents us from responding, or what prevents us normally in our day of life from utilizing this fear, is the judgment that's locked up. And the judgment is normally a judgment that's directed towards ourselves. I can't, I'm not good enough, I'm unable to. And we begin to fall into the pattern of becoming a victim in our lives. So the idea with a firewalk is for people to face these fears, to acknowledge the energy within them, and to move through the judgment and access that unlimited potential within themselves. So it's very important that we see fear, and I look at it as friendly energy announcing risk, as opposed to something that paralyzes us and stops us from moving.
It's a beautiful analogy. I know a lot of our attendees are going to have the questions in reference to safety. Who can do the firewalk? Who shouldn't do the firewalk?
Fire walking is dangerous. If it were easy and anybody could do it without preparation, you really wouldn't gain anything. So the idea isn't that there's no gimmick. It's not going to be a magic trick. People are going to show up, and we'll be going through a preparation process that will make people ready to face this risk with all the awareness that's needed to overcome the fear and to do something that is a risk. Fire is hot and it burns. But we have now run, and Oliver's run, hundreds of people across the fire. Anybody who can walk across the fire.
May I add something to that? Firewalking, like life, has its risks. We don't come into life and we don't go to firewalking to not get burnt, to not be part of the experience. For me, firewalking is a method by which we elevate the soul. We understand that the inherent dangers, and we understand that, and we move forward regardless. And I think there's an incredible amount of power when people recognize that they aren't their thoughts, they aren't their limitations, that there's so much more. And firewalking opens that crack on that door and allows people to view the infinite nature of their beings. And in the connection to that, I believe we bring ourselves profoundly present. You try and not be present when you're facing a pit of burning hot coals. It does sharpen the senses and bring you very present in the moment. Yeah, and it does come with its dangers. You know, if you don't respect the fire, and a lot of the preparation we do is about respecting the fire and respecting this element, which is a very powerful. We live on a fire planet. Everything wants to ignite and everything wants to burn. And in the ceremony, you get to unite with this fire. You get to unite with this element, this beautiful element that you get to carry with you for the rest of your life. Instead of being in fear, it becomes an ally.
As far as the high path is concerned, and what you two do in the community, are there other things that you're out here in our community doing?
We're doing a lot of different things, big variety of things. From yoga classes that I teach, meditation, breathing that we do together. And then we're just trying our best to be sustainable and live our words, and we're working towards becoming more sustainable in the way that we live. We're growing food in greenhouses. We're banding together with other like-minded people and trying to strengthen our community ties so that we can all support each other. We also believe in just bringing our consciousness, spiritual consciousness, to all sides of life, and that includes the environment and politics. And so things like I'll be involved in getting petitions signed to get the GMO labeling initiative passed this coming November. And we're running a sustainable art project in schools to try to raise consciousness in the youth as well. So
the high path is very much a metaphor for what it takes to make this journey, for what it takes to make this spiritual journey. And it became very apparent to me a while ago that it's no longer acceptable just to be speaking and just to be saying the words and telling people how to live and what to do. We literally now need to be the change we wish to see in the world. And our spirituality is now spirituality in practice. It's how do we go through our every single day lives, and how do we make things like the fire walk and the meditation, how do we make these an aspect of our life that benefits everybody? You know, because the illusion of separation, the illusion that we are separate beings is a story that's an old story. We're living a new story, we're telling a new story. So very much the high path is not just our venture, it's a venture that I believe every human must take on this journey to fulfillment, to human fulfillment. And it's a journey of being, not doing.
As a closing for the day one of the Matriarch gathering, the women and the men are going to come together for your firewalk. Would you like to speak a little about the balance of the feminine and the male?
Yeah, certainly. It's a real reflection of what's happening in our lives at the moment, is in the balance of us coming together. There has been an alchemy that two is far better than one, where the work that Lily does and the work that I do and the coming together of this work has produced an effect that literally has birthed the high path, has birthed this idea of the balancing of these energies, which is so uniquely important. It's the balancing of the mind and the heart within ourselves. It's the balancing of the indigenous and the creative within the world that we live in. And I feel that the Matriarch gathering for us will be the culmination of this event, the culmination of our own personal stories. And I'm sure a story that a lot of people are telling on the planet is this rebirthing of this integrated man and integrated woman with a balanced masculine and a balanced feminine in it. So I believe it will be an incredible shift and an incredibly powerful time for everybody, and we're very honored to be presenting the Firewalk at this incredible time.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you again to Lily and Oliver. This year's Matriarch Gathering will be held on August 30th and 31st. This will be our 4th annual event. We invite you to come spend some time with us, do some healing with us, and enjoy a beautiful weekend. Thank you.